Here is a review that many have asked me to do. So finally we're looking at a long-term review of the SLA043. This is Seiko's 62 mass reissue. One of the many 62 mass reissues that Seiko has done. And you may be familiar with the SPB147, which is the reimagination of the 62 mass. The 62 mass, as you may know, was Seiko's original dive watch from 1965. And to mark 55 years of that dive watch, they came up with a limited edition reissue that came out in this is actually a 2021 watch, and you can see that it has the dolphin, the legendary dolphin that the 62 mass had. It's only 1700 of these watches were ever made. Now this is exactly the same dial as the SLA037, which is a $10,000 watch. This is about a $4,500 watch. And the one difference that it does have from the SLA037 is that this has a 28,800 hertz beats per hour of the movement. So it's a high beat movement, but not like the 36,000 beats per hour high beat of the SLA037. So this is the 8L35, not the 8L55 that you find in the super fancy SLA037. It has the exact same hands, the same baton hands, and that beautiful baby blue lollipop seconds hand that just smoothly sweeps across. It is very smooth, and you have to understand, in the 1960s, a high beat movement was 28,000 beats per hour, not the 36,000 that we find these days. It has a beautiful brushed finish everywhere. As you can see, obviously, it has circular brushing on the top of the lugs and linear brushing on the sides. And in that sense, it looks just like a Tudor. I mean, it really is so similar to a Rolex Tudor, but I think at a slightly higher level of quality. It does have a signed crown, the one thing the SPB series does not. And that's really how Seiko establishes value, is by only providing signed crowns on the SLA line. It does have drilled lugs, which makes it very easy to change straps. In fact, I don't have it on the dive straps this watch came with. I have it on a nice leather strap that goes with the black bezel, that beautiful black ceramic bezel. The blue and the black on this watch really make it such a unique watch that there is really no watch. The beauty of this dial is just so unique. There is none of those are applied, so that's just printed. As you can see, the Seiko automatic and the divers 200 meters and die shock 26 jewels. This is part of the Prospex line, but you will not find the Prospex logo, unlike the Prospex logo that you'll find on the SPB line. So again, Seiko is trying to make it premium by saying, hey, you want to get rid of that Prospex logo? You need to pay us another $3,500. In terms of the finishing, this has very sharp edges, extremely sharp edges. The SPB has a polished, beveled edge, just a difference in design detail. This is obviously very true. This is an exact copy of the 62 mass when it came out. All the only difference is this at 39.9 is a slightly larger watch. The crystal on this is an absolute beauty. It rises significantly higher. It's a high dome crystal in that sense. Just to compare it with, say, the crystal of an SPB 147, you can see the sapphire crystal has a very shallow dome, whereas on this box crystal has a very pronounced dome, which in fact creates this beautiful distortion along the dial, kind of like there's like almost water along the minute markers that just gives it a very distinct look. It does sometimes make time a little harder to read. In terms of the bezel, it's the exact same font and the same style as the original 62 mass, but this time they have made it more premium by making it ceramic. It has 120 clicks and it's buttery smooth. It has resistance, but it has a smoothness that obviously there's absolutely no flex in it as it goes around. And obviously on the SLA, the one thing that annoys everybody about Seikos that I've never had is the bezel is perfectly aligned with the hour markers. Again, the one big difference you'll see is this has a border around the date. The SPB does not have that border around the date. That's just, again, a case of cost. I'm not sure it's so much cost cutting as a way of building up a premium for these $4,500 watches. You don't spend Rolex Submariner money, well, what used to be Rolex Submariner money in the older days, without getting what, in my opinion, this watch is actually much better than a Rolex Submariner. In fact, I call these watches the new Rolex Submariner. Let me explain. So in the older days, I'm really talking 60s and 70s, not so much 70s, really in the 60s. The Rolex Submariner was a premium watch, and premium just by virtue of the quality of finishing that it had and its high performance attributes that Submariners had. Seiko used to make budget watches. They weren't in the high expensive watch range that Rolex used to be. These days, Rolex has gone stratospheric in its costs. Submariners these days cost 5 figures, 10,000, 12,000, and that's just nuts. The Submariner is not that expensive a watch. This is really exactly what the Submariner used to represent, which is a tool watch that was produced at the finest levels of fit, finish, and performance that money could buy. And that's what I love about the SLA line of Seikos, and that's why I have a few of these, is because these watches are not about showing off to people how much money you just dropped on a watch. These watches are really about telling yourself that you have one of the best examples of a watch that money can buy. The one great example on this to see the whole point about performance is, let's look at the Lume. And it has a very impressive Lume, which is obviously it's a Seiko. But the Lume on this is much better than the Lume on any SKX or any SPB Seiko watch that you'll ever find, because Seiko obviously goes to great lengths to ensure that the Lume on this is the best that it can be. And that's really the same story goes everywhere. That painted dial, there are no imperfections in the dial. It has a very mild sunburst effect, which means it's very understated, but it's definitely there. The painting of the seconds hand, it's just perfectly painted. Everything about this watch is perfection. And that's really what you're spending $4,500 for, is the idea of perfection in a Seiko watch. I think that's exactly what the Rolex Submariner used to be. It was as perfect a dive tool watch as you could get. Of course, I do not like Rolex Submariners these days because they're just because of the crazy pricing. But if you really had to spend $4,500 on a watch, buy a Seiko SLA. You can still get these new, but they're beginning to sell out. And once they sell out, I'm sure Seiko will come up with more limited editions, because Seiko seems to specialize in limited edition watches. But the value of this will increase on the secondary market as time goes by. Some people online have talked about Zaratsu finishing on the chapter ring. Yeah, it's there, but you don't really notice it. What you notice is that beautiful box crystal that you have on top of this watch. There's In other thoughts, I would tell people that this is a watch that's meant to be worn. Do not keep this locked away. The beauty of this watch is, yes, it will get scratched. Yes, it'll get some dents and nicks. But as soon as you get the watch, change the strap to a daily wear watch. This watch is, has been with me for quite almost the beginning of this watch is from the beginning of the year, so it has been worn multiple times, and it looks in pretty good shape. There are a few scratches here or there. Obviously the case may get a scratch or two, but for a watch that's seen daily use, this is an amazing shape. Final thoughts: only buy this watch if you can afford to spend thousands of dollars on a watch. If you cannot afford to spend thousands of dollars on a watch, do not buy this watch. Just go buy an SPB and you're going to get 99% of the performance and value of this watch. If you can afford to spend thousands of dollars extra to get that 1%, then I guess you really are amongst the 1% then. Please go ahead and buy the watch, because this watch is truly a rare watch that Seiko has come out with in a very long time. Ever since 2017, Seiko's been coming out with the fabulous SLAs, and every SLA that it has come out with has been a spectacular watch. So yes, if you have the money to spend, buy the SLA. If you don't, buy any other Seiko and you'll just enjoy it just as much. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you think and which watch you'd like me to review next. And if you hung around till the end, the next watch review, there's a treat for you. This is one of the best examples of the Tropical Omega Seamaster that is there anywhere in the world right now, on obviously an original beads of rice bracelet. So one of these days I will get around to reviewing my this is such a rare watch. It's very rare to get this. I think this is a 57 Omega Seamaster. It used to be a black dial, and that it has obviously the coating on it has reacted to become this beautiful tropical dial, and we will deal with it later. So please be sure to leave the comments and be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you on another video.